Hey guys, Parallel here, and welcome to Star Trek Online. And I am super excited because Season 11.5 was just released, and there is a ton of new content in this patch. And in this video, I want to go through all of it and give an overview of all the changes. But before I dive into all of that boring talk stuff, I wanted to jump right in and take a look at the new Not Cool alert. And as you can see, I just queued up and popped into the mission here, and it is going to start soon, and let's see what's going on here. And this alert was just added in this patch. All right, it says, Not Cool raiders from the future are attacking merchant vessels in the sector. As of now, our quick reaction force, I want to get my hangar pets going. Intel suggests that one of the ships is carrying something or someone of temporal significance.
This Commander Jacob Trask of the Beowulf. My convoy's under
Find and
attack.
protect any
We're not
convoy ships
military.
and defeat Not
We
Cool
won't last
raiders.
long. Please, anyone, help!
Okay, well, sounds like a pretty typical alert here. Basically, kill everyone and protect the ships here. Alright, so let's head in and check out. So these should all be Not Cool vessels. Ouch. Okay, that just... whatever he just shot me with took off like half an hour. Let's get some heals going here. Oh, great. They're like the Voth, they have immunities. Not a huge amount of hull strength, but yeah, they can pump out the damage. They got like the Alachi front cone beam going on, and they got
Alpha convoy's en route. Satellites near you. Running the gauntlet here.
immunities like the Voth. And one phased out, was that a duplicate? I think these are kind of temporal based, like they have duplicates that they can summon from the future. I don't know if that's what's making them immune. Man, my immunity lasts for a long time. Maybe you do have to take out... Yeah, maybe you do have to take out the duplicate. Maybe that's what's going on. Alright, let's see if we can get some damage on this battleship over here.
Core shields failing.
Okay, so yep, he just popped out his duplicate. Alright, let's take that thing out. There we go. Alright, and that drops the immunity. Alright, I got the hang of this. It was actually pretty interesting. Okay, so we rescued 4 convoy ships. Okay, so what's going on now? Defend the scattered convoy, defeat Not Cool blockade. Whoa, okay, let's get... Where's the immunity? Where's his duplicate? There's a battleship. Do you summon a destroyer as a duplicate? Even though he's a battleship? I don't know.
Trask here. The convoy's been split up by the Nakul. Help us!
Okay, where are you guys at? Looks like I'm facing the wrong way here. Let's head over there. These guys guy's got the weapon going all over the place. I'm not sure what that thing's even called, that frontal cone weapon. It's like the Alachi.
One of my freighters just went to war. They're safe.
Alright, so far so good. We saved the convoys. Now what do we got? Secure shipping lanes, destroy Nakul Armada.
This Commander Jacob Trask in the Beowulf. A convoy's under attack.
Battleship distortion, okay. So that's down. Let's take out this destroyer. Okay, so far so good. Let's go over here. Ooh, Dreadnought. Ooh, and he just made a duplicate. Alright, let's take out his duplicate. And then let's take this guy out. Whoa, how'd he get down there? Yeah, so fire at will or torpedo spread is really good for these because your spread will take out the duplicate.
Rear shields failing.
Alright. Alright, not bad at all. Whoops, let's go back here. I didn't mean to hit that. Alright, we did it, and the Nakul are gone, and our temporal operatives will be on the lookout for more incursions. Still, something tells me we haven't seen the last of the time-traveling friends. Alright, so we got 25 marks. Ship saved. 8 ships times 2 marks, so 16 marks there. So a total of 41 marks. Not too bad. And it looks like... I don't know if this is just because it's a special event, but it looks like you get your choice of marks. It's not just a specific mark. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll have to double check and see if that's actually like just because this is a new alert, they're giving a special choice of marks. But this being where you can choose any type of mark, that means this is really going to be good for farming because you can get the daily bonus for each type. So if you, if you need to grind out some marks or for your reputations, this is a great alert for doing that. I could actually use some, I guess, Terran marks. I don't have very many of.
Congratulations, Admiral.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was, I guess, your standard alert, just a lot of action, not much story or anything else. But it was quick and easy. I'll say easy, at least on normal mode here. But it was a lot of fun. Those Nakul ships look pretty awesome, and they have some pretty neat abilities there. Lots of temporal duplicates, lots of yeah. I'm not sure what that frontal cone is called, but it. Definitely reminds me of the Alachi ability. A lot of Alachi ships do that. Alright, so that was the Nakul alert that is new in this patch. Let's go ahead and leave the map, and I'll actually show you. When you enter sector space, or at least when I entered sector space for the first time, it immediately popped up a message that the incursions were going on. Yeah, right here, see, that pops right up. And you can actually say, take us to them, and it will transwarp you right to a alert. Alachi alert. Or, it's not a lot of Alachi, Nakul alert. So that's pretty cool. Very easy to jump in and grind out some of those alerts. Like I said, I don't know if that's a permanent thing or it's just kind of a featured alert, you know, for a certain amount of time here. Alright, so with that action out of the way here, let's go ahead and dive into the patch notes. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to head to the Starship Bridge here because there's a lot of new stuff here to go over, and I want to kind of give a high-level overview here. Not go into too much detail of each thing, but I do want to show, you know, what I can in-game, at least just a quick, brief overview. but I'm thinking I'm going to need to take a seat here and relax for a while as we go through the patch notes. All right, but yeah, this is super exciting because Season 11.5, you know, this is coming after quite a long period of no new content. Let's face it, there's been a content drought in Star Trek Online for a while now. I'm not going to lie, I even took a break from the game myself just because it was not much new coming out. And that's probably why you haven't seen, well, that's definitely why you haven't seen any videos recently on Star Trek Online. But now with this patch and all this new content, I will definitely be putting up more videos, and this is just perfect timing. So yeah, and this is super exciting to get back into the game. I'm already having a lot of fun. So let's go through the patch notes and try to hit everything kind of at a high level and show what I can here in the game. All right, so actually let me do this. So what I did notice when I first logged in, you can hit the little question mark here in your UI in the minimap area. This will actually bring up, it should be flashing right when you first log in, and it should bring up a area here where you can click what is new in Star Trek Online, and it will show you very high level here. This is like the super condensed patch notes of what is in this release for 7.5 or 11.5, sorry, for the 11.5 patch. All right, so here we go. Season 11.5 is now available, and so a bunch of new stuff here. So we explore the frontier of time and challenges with a new foe with Temporal Front, which is the new featured episode. There's a new Romulan Republic campaign in your Admiralty. We'll take a look at that. And a new way for Admiral rank characters to manage special ship missions and earn great rewards. Provide a new way for Admiral rank characters to manage special ship missions. I'm not quite sure what that's referring to. Is they make some changes to the Admiralty system? And okay, yep, they added the Strategist secondary specialization, which actually looks quite impressive. I'll have to go through that. I mean, that it will be almost a video for itself, but I will just take a quick look at it here. And the ability to slot ship visuals. Ah, yes, the new ship visual slots. We'll definitely take a look at that. And then also a revamped skill system. That is huge. And not only did they change the UI for the skill system, so it looks more like specialization trees, and I do like the rework of it, but they changed a lot under the hood as well. So it's a UI change and the actual mechanics change. They changed a lot of formulas, a lot of how skills work, and a lot of scaling with certain types of skills, and so there's a lot going on behind the scenes as well. So we'll definitely have to sort that all out and see how it's going to affect all of our builds. But yep, that's it. So the Temporal Front, new featured episode. I definitely want to try that out. That looks very cool. I haven't seen any, I haven't read anything on this. I want to save it. I don't want to spoil anything. But I'll definitely be doing a video. That'll probably be the first video I put up because I can't, I just can't wait to do the featured episodes. That's something I don't want to put off till later. I just want to do it and enjoy it right up front and go in without any spoilers and just enjoy the immersion. All right. So, yep, skill system revamp. We'll definitely take a look at that in the patch notes in more detail. Romulan Admiralty campaign. Yep. Strategist secondary specialization. Yep. And then the ship visual slots. And there were actually, going through the patch notes, there are several other pretty significant changes. They're not the high-level bullet points here, but definitely worth taking a look at. All right, so I won't say too much more about the Temporal Front. I'll definitely do a whole video on that featured episode, but it does look pretty cool. One thing I guess I can just quickly take a look at. Let's just see here. Cool, it does give you a transwarp. I'm not quite sure where that takes you, but it's always nice when there's a featured episode going because you get a free transwarp to where that location is. Can be quite useful, and it doesn't activate your transwarp cooldowns. Always love having a episode, you know, a featured episode running where you can get free transwarps. But yeah, I don't want to spoil anything else. I'm not even going to take a look at it anymore. I'm not going to look at the rewards yet, although I believe the rewards are a ground-based set this time instead of space. So that's cool. They need to change it up every now and then. All right, so let's go on with the rest of the patch notes. The first thing is the new skill system revamp, and this is huge. So let me just read a few of the bullet points here. So the skill system is revamped, and this is, the goal here, they say, is to simplify the system and help players to make better choices when choosing the skills. Let's go ahead and bring that up right now. So here's the news. Let's go over here to space. All right. So here is the new skill tree, and as you can see, it looks a lot different. Very, very different. It looks more like your specialization trees, where you have these nodes that you go down and you can spend points in. It's not like the old one. If you remember the old skill system, you had basically, you had like each skill, you had like these 9 bars that you would fill up and put points into the, up to 9 ranks of each skill. It was a little bit vague about what each skill did, and even though the skills were kind of divided into the 3 sections like they are here, you still got your engineering, science, and tactical. But it's just definitely a more streamlined user interface. I think it's more people are familiar with this kind of a skill tree from other MMOs. It's a very standard kind of talent tree or skill tree. A lot of MMOs use that same kind of interface. So this should be, I think, a good change for most people, definitely from a user interface perspective. So as part of this, again, they changed a lot of other related systems to this and a lot of things under the hood. So let's go through it. All references to skill points have been changed to experience points. That's a good change. They called it skill points, like when you were gaining... Actually, let me scroll up here. Did they actually call it... Okay, well, they call it specialization experience, but it would be that, as you were leveling, your XP bar was actually called skill points. And that was, a little bit odd. Let's face it, is an XP bar, and it makes sense to just call it experience points. So that's a good change. I like that. And how the new system works is, as you level up, you will get space points and ground points. So you get, you have your space points will be here, and your ground points will be in this tab. And you will get 1 space point per each level, starting at level 5 and ending at level 50. So 46 total space points. And you can see here I actually spent mine already. And you also get 10 ground points, where you get 1 point every 5 levels. So if you go over here to ground, you get to spend a total of 10 points. So they're definitely trying to force you to make some choices here, especially on the ground, because you're only going to be able to get like half of the trees here. You're not going to be able to get everything, and you're going to have to make some choices. All right, but basically each node here in the tree takes 1 point. Pretty straightforward. And this, according to this, it says there are actually 110 skill nodes in total, so 20 ground and 90 space. So you can only get exactly half of the ground, and you can get 46 out of the 90 space. So a little over half of the, slightly over half of the space traits as well. So you can see it's also separated into the 3 career paths, and then also into basically tiers is what they're calling this. So you got your lieutenant tier, lieutenant commander tier, commander, captain, admiral tier. And each of these tiers unlock at a certain number of points. I already spent my points here, so it doesn't look like it displays it anymore, but you have to spend a certain amount of points in total before you unlock the next tier. It doesn't have to be in that specific tree or that career path. Like if I put 5 points in engineering here, that will unlock tier 2. And then once tier 2 is unlocked, you can put points anywhere. You don't have to, for example, you don't have to put 5 in tactical to get to the tier 2 tactical. It's just the total for each tier will unlock the entirety of the next tier. Let's see, anything else here? Purchase skills will also grant players new unlock paths. So some of these nodes actually have like unlock the tiers below it. Some of them are just a straight, upgrade, 3 points worth of upgrade, and some of them are actually a choice that you can make after you unlock one tier. it basically it does work fairly similarly to the old system, where each point, or each node, I guess, each node is kind of equivalent to what 3 points used to be in the old system. So like the first node is worth the first 3 points, then this would be 6 points, and this would be 9 points, roughly. It's a little bit more than that, but that's roughly how it works. So let's keep going through any other changes here in the skill tree that should be noted. So let's keep going. Once earned, unlocks do not cost spade points. Okay, so as you invest in the tree, you get down here below, you get these unlocks, and you can choose as you go. And you get an unlock periodically every few levels. I think this is at 5, every 5 points invested in that tree. So you can see I have 13 points invested in engineering, so this blue bar kind of fills up, and then it lets you make a choice at each of these nodes. This node is unlocked. You don't spend points here, but you do get to make a choice. So like for engineering here at the 5 points, you can choose between hangar health, which increases your pet health, or batteries, which increases the duration of your battery and devices. And so this is kind of bonuses you get as you invest in the trees up here. So you invest in the trees up here, and these fill up, and then you get to choose the bonuses you want. It works pretty well. If you invest heavily into one tree, you do eventually get up to a point where you can unlock these, they call them kind of ultimate enhancers, I guess is what they're calling. They're basically an active ability that you can use for that tree if you invest heavily into it. From what I'm hearing, most of these abilities are not super great. I hear the tactical ones are okay, maybe worth investing into anyway, as most of these tactical abilities are actually really, really good anyway. But yeah, that's again almost deserving of a whole nother video, and I'm not super happy with the tree I've selected here. Now, one thing they do mention in the patch notes is that they did give a free respec. And plus, when you log in for the first time, all of your points are reset. So that's a good thing. You when you log in and you get to, all your points are reset, you'll get kind of one chance to put together your skills, and then if you screw up, you get one free respec, and that's it. After that, you got to buy retrain tokens just like previously. And in all honesty, I'm not super happy with that, just because this is a totally new system, and there's a lot of adjustments that need to be made in your builds, and things need to be ironed out. And like I said, this is my first attempt after logging in, and I can already tell I'm not super happy with this build. Some of my power levels are not where I want them, and I didn't quite plan it out well enough where I didn't realize you had to also spend points to unlock these additional ultimate abilities. So yeah, I'm already not happy with my build that I've got, so I already know I'm going to spend that retrain token, and if I mess up that second time, that's it. I'm basically screwed, and I have to buy a retrain token. So a little bit disappointed. They really should have given at least, I'd say, 2 free retrain tokens, just because this is such a huge change and people are going to make mistakes. I think it's going to take a long time to fit this into a build, exactly the way you want. But we'll see. Maybe Cryptic. I did see they have the retrain tokens are on sale in the C store, so if you're doing that, that's maybe their hint to say, hey, we wanted to make a little bit of money off this, so please buy some retrain tokens. Okay, so I believe that covers it here. I'm gonna just go through the patch notes real quick here under the skill tree area, make sure I didn't miss any major points. You get the free retrain. There is a big blog post on this. If you didn't check that out, you probably should. And If you're looking to recreate your build that you had previously, I would recommend to check out the Reddit page. Star Trek's Reddit is excellent. The community there is great. It really is one of the best Reddits I've ever seen for an MMO. So definitely go to the Reddit. There's also a subreddit for the STO builds, and I would also recommend to check that out as well. There's some good template trees, kind of trees in there that will kind of show you how you can invest to replicate old builds. There's also some recommendations they have there from the DPS leagues if you're interested in a more DPS oriented spec like I have here. I'm kind of testing out. So yeah, that'd be my recommendation if you want to figure out just, if you're just confused, you just want to quickly fill out your skills and get back into the game, you can just go over to the Reddit, just take a look at the template they have set up there and just kind of replicate that, and you'll be in decent shape. It will get you all of the skills that you kind of need to get back up and running fast, and then you can go from there. Alright, so that is the skill system. Let's keep going here. So the cool red alert. So that is what I just showed previously, and that is really cool. It's available. You have to be level 50 and above, so you do have to, that is a requirement if you want to participate in that alert. And like I said, you do get your choice of marks. It doesn't mention that in the it doesn't mention that in the patch notes, but you do get your choice of marks. And I'm wondering if that is a temporary thing or if that is going to be part of this alert going forward. Patch notes don't really explicitly say either way, so I'd say go grind the red alert while you can and get a bunch of free marks. Yep, so not bad at all. Alright, so next thing let's take a look at is the Romulan Republic Admiralty campaign. Alright, so let's pull up our Admiralty system here. So here we go, let's pull up our DOF window, go to Admiralty. And as you can see, there's a new one right here. So here are your campaigns. So previously we had the two. We had the Federation and the Klingon. And now we've got the Romulan. And each one of these kind of has their own theme, which is kind of cool here. So if you look at the Federation one, you can see the theme here is specialization points. So if you do the missions here, they seem to give a lot more, or typically more XP, and if you do the tour of duty missions, you get spec points as your reward. In the Klingon Empire, this is more focused towards dilithium. If you just want to farm up a pretty good amount of dilithium daily, honestly, if you max out, if you do all of the dilithium missions in the Klingon Empire, it's actually quite good as far as the dilithium rewards, both from the missions and, as you can see, from the tour of duty as well. If you complete all 10 of the tour of duty missions, you get 30,000 ore, which is a nice little chunk. So that's kind of the theme of the Klingons, and based on what I'm seeing here as far as the Romulans go, is their theme is research. I've noticed that the missions seem to give a lot of research materials as rewards, and the tour of duty here is it gives you 4 Romulan Republic Universal Tech upgrades. And these sound pretty good. So reading from the patch notes here, completing a tour of duty in the Republic will reward players with, it says 3. But on here on the UI it says 4. Patch notes, not sure which one's accurate, the patch notes or the actual in-game. I would say probably the in-game is more likely to be accurate. Maybe they changed it at the last minute. But it gives you 4 Romulan Republic Universal Tech upgrades. They cost no dilithium, cool, and they give you 15,000 tech points. That's actually quite good. I believe that is... oh crap, I don't have any tech upgrades on this character. I believe the tech upgrades, the normal ones give, what, 12,500, I believe? So they're a little bit better than your standard tech upgrades as far as technology points. And let's see, reaching tier 10. It doesn't say anything else about these tech upgrades. And we'll have to see. It doesn't say anything about if they have a chance for quality increase. Yeah, I can't like mouse over it to see exactly what these universal tech upgrades give. No, Snow Dilithium and give 15,000 dilithium point or 15,000 technology points. Yeah, but I don't know if they provide the research points to give quality increases. That could be a big thing. I really, really hope they give quality increase chance, because that's kind of the major. Once you get to a certain point and all your things are tier 4, Mark 14, or once all your gear is Mark 14, at that point you're mostly looking for quality upgrades, not for just the technology points. Technology points are nice because you can fill out the bar and you get another chance to increase the quality, but you definitely also want those research points. So yeah. Yeah, you definitely want the chance of the quality improvement. So hopefully they do give that. I'll have to do some research on that one. That has me a little concerned that he didn't specifically mention it, giving that. Okay, but also, as part of the reward for this Romulan Republic campaign is once you actually max out the rank, you get a new epic quality Admiralty ship, the Zedenia. Zedenia is an escort with a unique ability to increase engineering and tactical of every other ship in the same assignment. So finally we get a tactically based epic quality Admiralty ship. And let's actually see here if I go to Overview, Campaign, Romulan. Doesn't say. So yeah, no details yet, but it's an escort, so it should be a tactically based ship. That would be perfect, because that's actually what we need as far as epic ship goes. I mean, if you look at my ship roster here, basically every epic quality Admiralty ship that's been released so far we've gotten 3 engineering and 2 science, and no tactical yet, so that'll be perfect. An escort would fit in there great. Alright, so that's the new Admiralty campaign. Very welcome, and it'll be good to grind through that. You can see I actually started out with the one of the tour duties right away. That's pretty cool. And these are awesome because they give, not only is it great for contributing towards the tour duty reward, but you can see also these usually give a ton of XP, both the campaign XP and your character XP. So honestly, whenever I see one of these things, I always dump like some of my best ships in here to get a very high crit chance. It's I'm gonna go ahead and put my favorite team in here, which is all the event ships. So the Samsar, the Sartheln, and the Nandi. Throw those in there. It's a great team, and it can get 81% crit chance. So definitely go ahead and queue that sucker up. But yeah, it'll be fun to grind through a new Admiralty campaign. Looking forward to it. And more research tech upgrades is always a great thing. Can't complain about that, as long as they give a quality increase. So, all right. So there's that. All right. So next thing is the Strategist. I guess it would just be Strategist secondary specialization. The new secondary specialization focuses on abilities that can shift between defensive and offensive stats. Ah, yes. So this stance is new, and basically what they've done here is they've replaced, abandoned ship. They replaced that ability with this new, I don't know what they call it. Did they call it... threatening. Oh, there it is. Threatening stance. Okay. Yeah, let me... I'm going to go ahead and head out into space and check this out here. Alright, so let's go ahead and leave the ship interior. Let's go ahead and head out into space, because I noticed this as well. And you'll probably notice when you first log in, I noticed that they reset all of your captain abilities are... all of your captain abilities are reset, like your hotbars. So any of your captain abilities that you had in your hotbar, they're all going to be jogged around, and you're going to have to fix that. And at this point, I'd rather be in sector space, or not sector space. I'd rather be in mission space. So let's head into. Let's just go back to New Romulus. I'm not actually sure where that even transwarped me to for the alert. But yeah, I do want to take a look at this new specialization and this threatening stance. Okay, so you can see right here, I put it right here. So I have threatening stance 3. And let's just read the tooltip here. It says target self. So when you toggle this on, it gives you 300% threat generation. And it gives you a 20% chance when damaged to increase maximum hull by 5% for 60 seconds. Applies max once per second. Stacks up to 10 max. Wow. So you can actually stack up quite a bit of hull. That's pretty cool. So that, yeah, definitely if you've got a tank build, you're going to want to be in threatening stance. No question about that. And you know why that's nice? This will allow other ships to tank. Like, for example, here in my Scimitar, I don't have cruiser commands. I don't have, like, the threatening, you know, the increased threat generation from the cruiser commands. So this will be nice because this will give more ships an option to go into a tank-like stance. So I like that a lot. And so this stance is very much tied to the Strategist secondary specialization. So let's take a look here. And I noticed they got rid of the specialization tab up here. You have to go under skills and then specializations is here. Okay, here it is. Strategist. And yeah, you can see it's only considered a secondary specialization, kind of like the way pilot used to be, or what commando is now for ground. But pilot used to be this way, where it was only like half of a tree, and then when they made pilot a full specialization, they like filled out all the rest of the tiers. But for now, strategist is only a secondary specialization. But it has a lot of cool abilities. Again, this is going through this all in detail would almost be a whole nother video, so I wouldn't want to go through it too much, but you can see kind of what the theme is here, is that a lot of these trigger on your threatening stance abilities. So you can see here when I mouse over it, it says while threatening stance is on, you gain 10% of incoming bridge officer or captain hull healing as temporary hull for 10 seconds. And when you're not in threatening stance, you get a +1 crit chance for 10 seconds after incoming bridge officer or captain hull heal. Wow, that's actually kind of cool. And the other one here, counter-offensive, reflects 150% of incoming, weapon damage back to your attacker. Can trigger once every 15 seconds. Reflects a maximum of 10,000 damage. And it has 50% shield print. It's kind of like a mini feedback pulse, I guess. This one sounds really great, though. So it's even if you benefit from these whether you have threatening stance on or off. It's just the benefit you get changes. It's like if you turn it on, it looks like the benefit's more geared towards, you know, a tanking type spec. And if you toggle it off, you get more of a crit chance, which is more for a damage spec. I like that. Looks like a pretty solid secondary, honestly. See what else we got here. When in threatening stance, taunts foes within 10 kilometers and generates 50% more threat. So that's awesome. That's like taunting them to be on you. This is really, yeah, this is giving tankers, man, yeah, I gotta imagine like the, yeah, anyone who's running a tank spec has got to be drooling over this strategist specialization here, because this looks like it'd be really great for holding aggro. While threatening stance is on, once every 20 seconds, bridge officer and captain hull heals. Reduce bridge officer recharge time by 30%. While not in threatening, you get 20% shield regen and 20% hull regen rate. Pretty cool. Increasing better cooldowns when in threatening stance. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So that looks like a very cool secondary. I like the concept of it, and I like that it's giving more options for tanking specs. All right, so let's go here. keep going through some more of the patch notes. All right, so next thing, ship visual slots. This is a very cool. I think this has been requested for a long time, and kudos to Cryptic for finally adding this in. Basically, what these ship visual slots do is they allow you. Let's see if I can find it here. So if you pull up your character sheet, go to. It looks like they added a new tab here, so it's in next to your mastery and your loadouts. You go over one more tab and you go to visuals, and then you got 3 new slots here. Basically, what happens is whatever you slot into these slots here, whatever piece you slot in, will override whatever the visual you have equipped, and will instead use the visual for the piece that you put in this slot, which is pretty cool. Which means you see, for example, I have the Iconian set here, but let's say I don't like the Iconian shield visual. All right. Let's say I don't like the Iconian shield visual, but I do have, like, say here I have my Dyson regenerative shield array. So if I put this into my shield slot, and you can see right there, immediately it overrode the graphical effect of the Iconian and instead put the Dyson graphical effect, which I think is actually quite cool. So there you go. So there's the Dyson shield, but it still uses the stats from my Iconian. So this is a very cool way, a really good implementation to make it easy to... to make it easy to customize the visuals of your ship without sacrificing the stats. Very cool idea. I like it a lot. And on a side note, this is actually like 3 extra inventory slots as well, because you can see you actually slot the gear in there and it's no longer in your inventory, so that's kind of cool. It's like 3 extra slots per ship, a free inventory space. But yeah, but only for your deflector, impulse, and shields. But yeah, I mean, you can use that for any of the, you can slot whatever you want in here. Like I could put in here my assimilated deflector. Yep, and there you go. You can see the little Borg bits coming out. And it will override the Iconian. So that's a cool change. I like that a lot. Very good implementation for it. Makes it very easy. It's kind of nice because this almost adds incentive to, for example, grind out a reputation piece that maybe you like the look of that reputation piece, but you don't like the stats. This gives you incentive to actually grind out and get that piece, because now you can just use it here in the visual tab and not have to worry about using those stats. You can still use the stats of whatever set you like. So it's actually kind of neat. It's kind of a ingenious way to incentivize gathering other visuals, even if for older or not as popular reputation sets. Because a lot of those old reputation sets actually still look quite cool, but the stats maybe don't fit in with your build or whatever. But now with these visual slots, that gives you a reason to go grind out all of those different reputation pieces just for the visuals. So very cool. A+ on that feature. All right, so let's go through some of the other general changes here. I don't know if I want to list every one of these exactly, but it looks like in the general they've resolved a lot of issues for crashing when you're going to the tailor, issues with AMD cards, crashes when you would go through a mission step that was completed, crashes on map transfers. That's very nice. I know a lot of people were suffering from that. Some other minor fixes, audio effects on disruptor beam arrays. Resolved an issue with allowing players to have a ship costume on a ground map. That was absolutely hilarious bug where people were running around on ESD, running around as a ship instead of a person. That was pretty funny. Okay, and here's another one. For players who experienced being blocked from reclaiming a unique duty officer such as Neil Falconer because of the system believes it is in the player's inventory, upon logging in, a new version should be in your inventory. Okay. That was nice for people who are having issues claiming those unique DOFs. Resolved an issue that was preventing players from commissioning multiple embassy bridge officers. Interesting. I heard that was a bug too. I heard a lot of people had problems going to the embassy and getting their Romulan SRO bridge officers. So that's nice that they fixed that. And it looks like a fix for the Jabberwocky mission. The Defiant now attacks more reliably. I honestly don't remember that mission super well, so... Okay, so here is some that I want to discuss in a little bit more detail as well. Yeah, let's go visit the Starship Bridge again here. Because again, I need to sit down and relax going through a lot of these system changes. As I said in, going through the skill revamp that they did, a lot of things under the hood changed. And these are actually very significant, especially if you're, looking for top DPS or anything along those lines. If you're just interested in how to max out your performance, a lot of these changes will affect that. Yeah, so let's go through it here. So first thing, chemosite laced weaponry. For those of you rich people out there who actually have chemosite, have hundreds of millions of EC to spend on chemosite, it looks like at first glance it looks like this has actually got a bit of I would say a slight buff. Yeah, a little bit of a slight buff because now it's saying that the ability for chemosite laced weaponry to crit has been fixed. So now they can crit, and it is based on your character's base crit value. Okay. Resolved an issue that was preventing chemosite laced weapons from benefiting from any plus damage modifiers, including those gained with levels. So looks like they also fixed it so now it will benefit from damage modifiers. That is a huge increase in damage, and it says it also, to compensate for that, they reduced the base damage of the chemosite by 66%. So basically 2/3 of the previous value. So looks like I'd say overall a buff to chemosite. I know chemosite's been changed a lot. It was absurdly overpowered for a really long time, and then recently was more basically underpowered. And it looks like they've brought it back up a little bit. I don't know if it's back up to its absurdly overpowered state or it's kind of a nice middle ground. I'm not quite sure there where that ended up, but we'll be curious to see how that shapes up over, over the next couple weeks as people get a chance to shake it down and, parse out some runs and see what's going on in the logs and how well it's performing. A couple other interesting changes here. Boarding party can no longer be used while in a shuttle. Yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. Boarding party will now launch Romulan shuttles if used by a Romulan captain. That's a nice change. And it will no longer fail on a Romulan who has not yet chosen their faction. Okay, yeah, I guess that's a good change. Don't really use that power too much, but, it's good to clean things up. Resolved an issue that caused EMP burst ability to not reduce power transfer rate of affected targets. Again, a good little fix. Resolved an issue where Chronoton split beam rifle was not properly triggering its proc. Oh, that's good. I actually used that Chronoton split beam rifle because I do like split beam rifles, and that one was from I'm trying to remember I think it was from a featured episode, I want to say. And I use that on a lot of my alts because those featured episode weapons are great for alts because they are purple quality and you get free upgrades all the way up to Mark 12. So that is perfect for alts. So I do have a lot of characters with that weapon, and that's nice to see it fixed. What else we got here? Updated the long description of resilient shield arrays to more accurately reflect how incoming damage is distributed. That's odd. Let's take a look here because I think the Iconian resistance is a resilient shield array. So let's see what this says. Okay, maximum shield capacity, 5% absorption, 5% bleed through. Shield regeneration rate reduces all energy damage to shield by 50%. It's got the hot restart. I don't see anything different. What am I missing here? Updated long description of resilient shield arrays to more accurately affect how incoming damage is distributed when these items are equipped. I'm not sure what that's even maybe when they say long description, do they mean info, not the tooltip? Is that what they're going down here? Resilient shield arrays allow less damage to impact the hull by applying a greater portion of incoming damage directly to the shield. To offset this additional shield damage, resilient arrays also negate 5% of energy damage they receive. They have a lower overall capacity and regeneration rate than standard shields, but are good for maximizing the value of shield regeneration abilities and keeping your hull strength high in protracted battles. Maybe that description is... I guess I don't remember the old description, so it's hard for me to tell, but I mean, that's good if they're adding clarity to that, so no problem there. Let's see. The modifier SS Rep, Fleet and Reputation Engineering consoles now display a more decipherable tooltip. Okay, I guess I don't have anything with that mod, so I'm not quite sure how that worked, but resolved an issue that was causing many explosives duty officers to be equipable in the ground active duty roster instead of space. Okay. Resolved an issue with concentrate firepower that was making the triggered kinetic damage non-responsive to both resistances. Interesting. I think I read a little bit about this where, yeah, concentrate firepower is always using the base resistance, and it didn't benefit from like resistance debuffs on the target, like attack pattern beta. So I would say this is probably an overall buff to concentrate firepower. That might be worth revisiting. I do like that as one of the command abilities if you have a torpedo build. Concentrate firepower is quite good for torp builds. Alright, and actually here on my, this is the new tier 6 Dreadnought Warbird, which actually has command, is it? Yeah, the command, Lieutenant Universal here is also a / command, so I might try a... might try it out. Might get a concentrate firepower in there. Give it a try. Let's see what else. Resolved an issue with the Space Agony Phaser Disable proc not triggering. Okay. And resolved an issue that was preventing Orion Slaver Hanger pets from stealing loot from targets. The description of Orion Slaver Hanger pets no longer mentions stealing crew. Okay, I'm not even quite sure how that works, honestly. Never used those hanger pets, so. Duty officers that used to improve abandoned ship have been rebuilt. That's right, because now abandoned ship has now the threatening stance, so they had to rejigger a few things around to adjust for that. New functionality ties in with the threatening stance. While active, outgoing torpedoes have a chance to taunt foes. Interesting. While inactive, outgoing torpedoes have a chance to placate foes. Interesting. And then the quality of the DOF affects the proc chance. Huh. That's actually kind of cool, depending on the proc chance, but interesting little buff there for torpedo builds. Could be interesting. The turret fired by warp shadows now has visual FX. Huh. I'll have to check that out. I do occasionally use warp shadows, the singularity ability, so might be worth checking out. A cool new graphical effect. Resolved an issue where the taunt applied by warp shadows would affect critter targeting after the warp shadows expired. Okay. Wasn't really aware of that, but I guess that's a good fix. Alright, so here's some big changes here in these kind of go hand in hand with the skill revamp, because they changed around a lot of powers, and I want to go through this list, you know, kind of as much as I can, and give my thoughts on it, because there is actually quite a few changes in here, and they do affect a lot of things behind the scenes. So, okay, first thing. There's the new ability for ground captains called Threatening Posture, basically the ground version of Threatening Stance. So if you want to be a ground tank, you got a good option there. The Abandoned Ship ability was replaced with Threatening Stance. Already went through that, and now it can be toggled on and off. And the Strategist specialization makes use of a lot of that. Great options for, you know, for creating new tank builds and enhancing tank builds. resolved an issue that was allowing many resistances effects to be resistible and strength effects to be strengthened. There was a huge forum post about this one. This is actually a major change. And there's a lot of little intricacies hidden in here. I think overall it is a good change just because I know there was a lot of issues in the past with stacking of damage abilities and also stacking of debuffs. I remember there was a point, I think it was when the Krenum research station came out, the Fleet research station. It came out, it was released, and they had those new consoles that, oh gosh, what was it? I can't remember what they did exactly. Like, it would buff your damage when you activated a science ability. I can't remember what it was, but it was ridiculous where they were stacking upon themselves up into absurd levels, and it got to the point where like people were one-shotting the crystalline entity and then would break the queue and no one could get in. I remember it was kind of crazy, and I think that all kinds of stems from this, that the background, their coding was, not properly calculating how certain buffs would stack on each other and be affected. And to some extent, the same thing with resistance debuffs as well, where you would, some debuffs would, like floor out the enemy's resistances. So I think it's overall a good change, but it does affect a lot of things. And I'm a little bit concerned about certain abilities being unduly affected by this. Because in particular, I actually really like debuffing specs. I love that on my science character, being able to debuff. I love using attack pattern beta. And I'm kind of curious to see, I haven't gone through all the exact math and the formulas. If you take a look in that thread, in the patch notes there, it does go into a lot of detail. A lot of detail is given. And while I like it in concept, I think it is actually might be nerfing quite a few abilities. In particular, I'm thinking of things like, I know it's going to affect things like the space trait, armor penetration, which actually put a debuff, a short duration debuff on the enemies. It may affect that. It might even affect things like pen mods on your weapon, because pen mods also were, reducing the enemy's armor. You have, and that concerns me too, because I wonder, I have to see on the math now, I'm concerned if pen is even, considered one of the better mods now. I just spent a ton of upgrades during the Omega upgrade event, getting all of, a whole set of nice pen weapons up to epic. It'd be a shame if, all of a sudden pen is not a very good mod. I'm not convinced of that. It might still be a great mod. I don't know. I haven't worked through the math yet, but I do know that is a potential effect of how they're changing the formulas here. A lot of other things too, like sensor analysis, I think is going to be getting a major hit. Again, I think that's hurting science characters, which, in all honesty, do not need to be nerfed. So I don't think that's kind of going the right direction. Like I said, I like the idea behind it. I like that they're normalizing the formulas. I just think they need to go back to some of those debuffs that were always particularly powerful, like sensor analysis, pen mods and things, and they need to make sure that those are still incredibly valuable. Maybe now that the formulas are standardized, maybe just increasing the amount of hull debuff that they provide, of resistance debuff that they provide, would be a good balance there. But that's just something to be aware of. So we'll have to see how this shakes out, in the next coming weeks with, as all the DPS channels start testing this out. How is it going to work with the pen mods? How is it going to work with the armor penetration traits? How is it going to work with sensor analysis? Because a lot of these, a lot of those resistances that kind of had their own unique formula, all of those have been standardized now into this, one standard formula. So there could be some unintended consequences there, and I really hope that, some of these things are not underperforming. But overall, I like the concept. All right. So that's a huge change, even though it's just one line in the patch notes, but I did want to give a little bit of background there so people understand there is a lot going on, and it has the potentially, it could affect a lot of builds. All right, so Here's another one. All ground captain abilities, set bonuses, and duty officer active roster abilities are no longer improved by any skills. All of these abilities have had their baseline effectiveness increased by 25% to 50% to account for this loss in performance scaling. That one's a little bit odd. I'm not quite sure what they mean by that, because if you look at the skills and look at ground, like for example the, where is it? Like kit performance. Doesn't this improve kit module? Maybe they're not talking about kit modules here. Yeah, okay, they're only talking about captain abilities. Okay. That's why they did this. So I'm guessing that, yeah, all of these are now based around kit abilities, so you're not actually improving your captain abilities from these skills anymore. Could be a slight nerf in some cases, and maybe a slight buff in other cases for, for skills that you never typically invested in before. It looks like they will at least get a baseline buff. Okay. Next one, the amount of hit points, shields, speed, and turn rate gained from skill bonuses no longer scales up based on ship tier. I didn't even know it scaled up based on ship tier, but this has been made consistent across all tiers. Okay, and then they go through the numbers there. It looks like through lower tier ships, it was a pretty significant buff. For higher tier ships, it was a very slight nerf. Almost not even worth mentioning. So overall, it looks like a general buff there. I guess I wasn't even really aware that, this affected lower tier ships. This would be definitely a pretty huge buff for low tier ships. Maybe this will help the leveling experience a little bit when you're in your Miranda, or just your level up ships that you get, in the lower 20s and 30, level 20 and 30s, and it might help them benefit more from the skills. That's a good thing. Here's another change. The crew mechanic has been removed. That's right. The crew, I know it used to be in space, there was that little crew indicator below on your HUD, and honestly, I never knew how it worked, and I don't know that anyone ever knew how it worked. It had very little effect on anything in the gameplay. And the fact that they removed it, I don't think will be missed by anyone, honestly, because I don't think many people even knew what this did. And it's probably good that they just get rid of it. No reason for it to be there if it's not contributing in any significant way to gameplay. So, but basically they removed it. It says whatever benefit there was previously, that now is anything that gave it a previous benefit has been set to their maximum value for all players. So basically, they just set everything to the maximum and then took it off the HUD, and you never have to worry about it ever again. They also mentioned a few set bonuses here that used to give bonuses for crew, like the 2-piece Klingon Honor Guard and Adaptive Mako. It looks like most of the things here they changed to hull regen instead of giving crew bonuses. That's pretty fine. That's fine. No problem there. So, if any of your pieces you have used to give crew bonuses, you might want to double check those pieces to see what the new bonuses are. So other than that 2-piece, it looks like a few other things. Reroute power from life support. Now no longer mentions crew. The promotional EMH Science Console no longer restores crew, but gives a passive bridge officer cooldown reduction. Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm not even sure what that EMH Science Console is. The promotional EMH Science Console. I don't think I have that. Emergency Force Field Engineering Consoles have been changed to provide resistance to subsystem offline. Okay. Biofunction Monitor was replaced by Nanite Reinforced Circuitry. Provides a passive hull regen. Okay. Passive, so yeah, hull regen instead of crew. It makes sense. It just seems to work a lot better with how the game is actually designed. Okay, this is another big one. And yeah, this will change actually a lot. So the next one is all energy weapons now benefit from unified range drop-off mechanics. Basically, I'm going to pull up the space skills here and show you something as well. But basically, all energy weapons will now lose 50% of their base damage when fired at maximum range. So when they say all energy weapons, that means cannon and beam. There's actually a slight buff for cannons and a slight nerf for beams, because the drop off. So this is actually great for cannons. So if you like cannons before, this is a really good buff. And even though this is a slight nerf for beams, take note that in the new skill tree, they have an actual skill here called long range targeting. And you are going to 100% want this. I don't care what your build is. No matter what build you have, you're going to want to max this out, because when you max it out here, it decreases the maximum distance penalty to 20%. That's amazing. That's a buff even for beams. So that means that both beams and cannons at max 10-kilometer range will still be doing 80% of their damage. That is sweet. That is great. That is a huge damage increase for anything at range, and particularly for cannons. So this is a no-brainer. I don't care what your skill spec is, definitely get this advanced long-range targeting sensors, and that kind of goes hand in hand with this change to the base fall-off for both cannons and beams. So this is a big damage increase for any build, just because you're almost, I mean, when your fire at will is going off, it's going to be hitting all kinds of targets all over the place. They might be, farther away, and it's not always possible to keep targets nice and close in range, so you don't get much damage fall off. So yeah, nice, very, very nice change there. I like that they standardize it between beams and cannons, and it goes great with the new skill and the new long-range targeting skill in the skill tree. Alright, so we're getting towards the end here. Let's try to get through the rest of these. Removed skill benefits from many powers previously enhanced by sensors. So the magnitude of these powers has been increased to match what it previously would have been if the player had 99 sensor skills. So they didn't really have any sensor skills here in the new tree. Basically what they're saying is, we'll just take out sensors as a skill and just put everything back at the maximum of what it used to be. So fire in my mark, sensor scan, tachyon detection grid, and tachyon deflection field all will get the max bonus now. A good change. I don't know that a lot of people spec'd into sensors anyway, so that's a nice little change. You just kind of get it for free now. Okay, the scaling aspects of most powers that benefit from skills have been normalized. And this is another kind of big one that happened under the hood, because this is, it says most notably the impact is on powers that benefit from particle generators, which is now called exotic particle generators here in the new skill tree. And this is pretty significant, I think, for science builds, particularly for exotic damage builds. I know basically what they did is it says some skills have gained effectiveness, others have been reduced. I believe there was more details available in the post on this as well. And it sounds like what they basically did is reduced, the way the new skill tree was working is that they actually reduced the amount of increase you get from the skill, but increase the base values of the skills themselves. Now, supposedly this kind of balances out, so you shouldn't see too huge of a performance difference, but it's hard to know for sure. Definitely need to test it out. This could potentially affect your exotic damage builds. I do know in some of the early Tribble release, patches that were on Tribble for testing out the 11.5 season patch, a lot of those were, a lot of science captains were complaining that the exotic damage abilities were very much underperforming. But I think towards the end they did go through a few balance patches and did bring those back up to par, so hopefully that's still good. I do want to get back into my exotic damage Vesta build and check that out. They did also update the fleet skill boosts. This is, those fleet buffs that you would get. They made quite a few little changes there. I don't know, these buffs are so expensive. I've never had them in the fleet that I'm in, and only top-end fleets I think really invest in these, but they're there, and it's nice to see them making them more worth it, because they are very expensive buffs to actually, you have to do a project in your fleet to actually get these, and they're very expensive to do. So nice little changes there. Let's see, the benefits gained from shield subsystem power and auxiliary subsystem power have been altered. It sounds like they changed how the shield power setting scales, so basically benefits gained from shield power that have been slightly reduced, but This new skills have been introduced that allow these benefits to be increased beyond where they previously were. And benefits by auxiliary power have been rescaled, so now at low aux you get more benefit, and at high aux you get less benefit. Again, I'm not quite sure what that is really saying. How will that affect a lot of exotic damage abilities that are affected by you want to have a high aux, and it says it get less benefit from it at high. So again, how all these changes are all going to interact and what the final outcome is going to be all needs to be tested out, and we'll find out just as more time passes. Okay, so a few other small changes here. Updated description on diplomatic immunity and marauding force to remove references to drive recoil. That's right, because drive recoil was one of the old skills, and they kind of replaced it here with which one is it? Impulse expertise. Oh no, that wasn't drive recoil. What is it? This one here, full impulse energy shunt. That kind of takes the place of what drive recoils used to do. And along with that, they changed warp cores that used to give a coil mod. Now they give you a sector speed mod. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Field Technician now uses the kit readiness stat to reduce kit module recharge times. Kit readiness stat, okay. The amount of innate resistances to stun effects that players have on ground combat have been reduced. Not sure how I feel about that. I don't like there's already plenty of stuns and knockdowns and everything in the game. I don't like them reducing the base resistances to that. It just kind of interrupts gameplay when you're constantly getting knocked down and controlled. Let's see what else. The Techie personal trait now adds plus 20 to both hull restoration and damage control. Change from plus 30% to hull repair. Okay, nice little buff there to Techie. Resolved an issue with starship perception, so its skill so now appears correctly on the tooltip. Okay, small change. Console science sensor probe items now grant starship perception and increases the ability to detect. Okay, detect cloaked ships. Sweeping strikes, lunge, and biotech siphon now scale with kit performance. Okay, good. Nadian inversion now reduces the cost of firing weapons properly. This is another one there was a lot of changes under the hood, and this one unfortunately looks like it's a pretty significant nerf to Nadian inversion. That's kind of bad. Again, engineering captains I don't think really needed a nerf, and that's one of their key abilities, and Nadian inversion was so nice for reducing the power cost of your weapon firing cycles, so I really don't like that change. That's too bad. I'll have to test it out on my engineer again and give that a try. Okay, and there's now a section for innate skills listed in the status page under both ground and space that reflects the few skills that characters gain naturally via level progression. Okay, Doctor Duty Officer that increases max HP on use of healing now grants as much benefit as previously available with 100 medic skill. Okay. Increases damage dealt by the cloud left behind by plasma emission torpedo. Okay, by 50% in order to compensate for the... Okay, so this is where they changed the... it scales less from exotic particle gen, but they increase the base damage to compensate. Again, I'm not quite sure how that will shake out overall. At what level of exotic particle gen will it equal out? Because if you invested really heavily into particle gen, this might be a nerf because it will scale actually less from particle gen, but the base is higher. So we'll see. But I do use the plasma emission particle torpedo in my exotic damage build, so that will be something I'll have to take a look at. Graviton Spike now scales with kit performance. Okay, cool. I use Graviton Spike. I like it a lot. Trajectory bending has had its base value decreased, but now scales with kit performance. Okay. The Psi CDR mod that appears on deflectors was changed to grant 50 starship scientific readiness instead of directly modifying cooldowns. Total performance unchanged. Well, total performance unchanged. I guess they just made it be a skill mod instead of just giving a direct cooldown modification. Okay. As long as it works out to be the same, I don't see an issue there. Resolved an issue with attack pattern Omega that was causing the defense debuff to be boosted by other defense buffs. Also affected those power attack pattern Tuvok. Okay, that was only in that one episode. I didn't know that, but so attack pattern Omega was causing the defense debuff to be boosted by other defense debuffs. That could be a bit of a nerf to attack pattern Omega, because it must have been giving more defense than it was meant to. Okay, nurse medic duty officers that previously, improved crew regen, now improve hull regen. Yeah, again, they changed kind of crew mechanic to just going directly to hull instead. That's a good change. Skills that previously scaled with drive coil now scale with impulse expertise. Okay, yeah, that's the new skill. EPS manifold duration has been set to 15 seconds, no longer scales with battery skill, since the skill was removed. Okay. I mean, that's, it is what it is. They wanted to make that change with the skill revamp because batteries isn't there anymore. All right, the rest of the changes here are not related to the skill system. So that was the bulk of the major under the hood changes. A lot going on there. And they changed so many things, so many formulas. It's hard to know how it will all interact together. I mean, once you put all this together on a build, all these little minor changes here and there could have a pretty significant effect. It might even change the meta. So, as far as the DPS meta goes, things might shake up a little bit, or maybe not. Maybe after all is said and done, the old builds are still viable and still work great. But it's just something we'll have to work out over the coming weeks and months as as the DPS teams get going and testing out all the builds and all the changes. And that's fun. I'm looking forward to it. Nothing wrong with shaking up the meta every now and then and seeing how things goes. I just hope that a lot of the investment into gear and whatnot is preserved, because it is very, very time consuming to upgrade everything to Epic, and I hope that just, a lot of that is preserved in the new system. All right. Let's get to wrapping this up with just the remaining small changes here. Foundry changes. Basically, they added a bunch of new stuff from the more recent episode, like the Khitomer interior map from the recent featured episode. So for those of you Foundry players out there who like to build your missions, you should check that out. So there's a lot of new Foundry items available. In the user interface, a couple changes here. Mostly it looks like just fixes, positioning buttons better, support for Razer Chroma peripherals, big deal. I guess that's cool if you have a Razer Chroma. It might be kind of cool. Skill points can be purchased by double clicking. Yeah, nice little change. Resolved an issue which was causing shield regeneration not displayed. Most of these are pretty small little fixes for positioning of buttons, and yeah, nothing too major there. Little thing here, added a indicator flash to the HUD when a reputation project has been when there is a project has a pending reward. Okay, something there. Just some minor changes. So they also added a few things to the space Barbie. So the tailor now has a few new options. You have eyeshadow option for male Vulcans, Klingons, and Romulans, and Remans. So there you go. You can now add eyeshadow to your male characters. Changed Herald armor to Herald sets. Again, just some minor changes. Added tights option for skirt. Added bridge. Added added eyeshadow, okay, Federation badge revised to be Starfleet only, okay. Result in issue with missing chests in the Federation female jacket. So yeah, a bunch of little minor fixes there, nothing too huge. And that is it. That is it for the patch notes. I mean, wow, a ton of new content, a lot of under the hood changes, so much to go through. And yeah, I hope you stuck through it with the all stuck through the whole video there. I know there was a lot of talking, a lot of going through all the changes. You know, the more exciting things, the more exciting things are the kind of the big heavy hitters, like the new skill system, the Romulan Admiralty mission, the new featured episode. Those are the more exciting things, but I did want to go through in all the detail of the actual patch notes, because there are a ton of under the hood changes, and really everyone needs to be aware of all these changes, and they just need to be aware of how it's going to be affect their build. They need to be mindful of, you know, all of these formulas have changed, and you know, you may want to look at redoing your build, redoing your your DOFs that you want to use. Might want to redo your space traits. You may want to, there's just so many things that you might want to change up because of all of these under the hood changes. And it'll take a while for all that to shake out. But yes, I think that is all as far as the patch notes go. This is a very exciting new season, this 11.5. A lot of good stuff here. I'm overall very impressed with the patch notes, and a lot of really, really good changes there. All right, so I guess that is it for this video, everyone. Thank you very much for sticking through. I know it was a long video, but at least if you stuck through the initial parts and got the overview of the patch, that was the meat of it, and all the later stuff with all of the details, and maybe and going through all of the under the hood changes. Hopefully that was at least helpful, just to be aware of it, because even if you don't understand all the math and the formulas, it's still good to understand all these things all these things changed under the hood, and that you should be aware of it. All right. Well, that is all for now, and I will be coming out with, again, a lot of new videos for Star Trek Online here coming forward. I do want to cover each of these features. Like I said, going through these, that almost all of these features could be a episode in and of themselves, and I do want to go through some of these in more detail. I do have to learn more myself first, though. So I will spend a little bit of time to learn these new systems and provide a little bit of guidance, maybe do a little guide video, particularly on the skill system. But also just going through all the new content. I mean, first things first, I will definitely be checking out that featured episode. Very excited about that. Whew, all right. Well, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and have a nice day, and hopefully you will enjoy the 11.5 changes. They look really great. All right, that's all. Bye for now.